let me just pause, and I don't mean to pick on you. How hard the left is fighting for this MS13 scumbag is just remarkable to me. It's like it's I'm not trying to pick on you. Let me let me make a broad statement.
He could be the worst person in the world. He could be an absolute scumbag.
Is he a U.S. citizen?
No.
Oh, that actually changes things.
It does, absolutely.
And so,
but it does not change
due process. Yes, it does.
The question is, why defending a gang member? Let's get down to the rest of the video and hear why.
Thank you. Let's start off by laying some things that I think you and I would both agree on first. Okay. I'm sure you like our Constitution. I'm sure you're a big fan of our Bill of Rights, the habeas corpus, inclusion in the before even the Bill of Rights in the Constitution itself. When we look at the current league of deportations that's happening, particularly when it predates to Kilmar Abrego Garcia, right? He is a man who hasn't had his due process. He never had his day in court.
That's not true. You know that he spent 4 years in court from 2017 to 2021. In fact, so much so that the judge even ruled on his immigration status, saying that he could be deported at any time for any reason.
That court order actually lapsed, so it wasn't valid at the time of his deportation. If we want to go through these, we need people to have their habeas corpus rights. We need people to have the ability to show up in court and actually exemplify their, have their case, be heard in front of a judge, be heard by a jury of their jury of their peers, pardon, and have a chance to be.
Okay, but again, I've done this so many times. Let me just pause, and I don't mean to pick on you. How hard the left is fighting for this MS13 scumbag is just remarkable to me. It's I'm not trying to pick on you. Let me make a broad statement.
He could be the worst person in the world. He could be an absolute scumbag.
Is he a U.S. citizen?
No.
Oh, that actually changes things.
It does, absolutely.
And so,
but it does not change
due process. Yes, it does. The Alien Enemies Act says you do. That's not correct.
Okay.
The Alien Enemies Act says you do not have to give due process to those that you are deporting. It is not correct. So they invoked the Alien Enemies Act.
What does it take to invoke that act?
And signature from the President of the United States to say that you are being invaded by a foreign power or assisted by a certain force on enemy ground.
Correct.
He was part of MS-13, which is a paramilitary arm of the Venezuelan government.
So, but in order to enact that act, don't we need a war declaration?
Oh, yeah. No, that's what he did on day one. He said that we're being invaded.
Does he have that power?
Yes.
I thought that was a congressionally approved thing.
No, that's not correct. The President of the United States has an ability within a 90-day emergency clause window to say that we are being invaded by a special power. It's called the War Powers Act of 1990-something. The War Powers Act gives the President the authority for 90 to 100 days to declare that we are being invaded. And we have been invaded, by the way, by MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. It's a material fact.
Considering, one of the things that's super important when we consider law is the spirit of the law. And do we really believe that these laws were enacted with the spirit in mind of gangs being associated as arms of a state?
Potentially.
MS-13 and Tren de Aragua are not Venezuelan arms. They're not.
No, MS-13 is. That's not correct. But let me throw it back at you. MS-13 is El Salvadorian and also Venezuela. Yeah, Tren de Aragua is Venezuela. MS-13 is El Salvadorian. He signed Declaration of Invasions against both. But let me challenge you on this, because you're coming after this in good faith. Was the First Amendment written in the spirit of Facebook posts?
Can you clarify a little bit?
The First Amendment, part of the Bill of Rights, ratified in 1791, was it written in the spirit that it shall apply to tweets?
Not to private corporations.
Well, no, meaning like, do your free speech rights apply also to the internet?
So it applies to public squares. The question that we're having now is Facebook a public square? Are Twitter public squares?
It's a separate issue. The issue is that we would all agree that you have a First Amendment right to express yourself, and the government can't throw you in prison regardless of where you have it. Whether you write a newspaper op-ed or whether you do a Facebook post, right? You have a First Amendment right to do that. The point being is you say, well, the spirit of the law in 1798, it doesn't matter if a law is old. It matters what moral claim is the law trying to make, because times sort of change, but people do not. Human nature goes unchanged. And so the point being is the Alien Enemies Act has been invoked 4 times in our nation's history. War of 1812, Civil War, World War I, World War II. And I believe totally appropriately invoked here. It's been enjoined by the Supreme Court right now, so we'll find out its future. But when you have 15 million people come into your country in a span of 4 years, that is definitionally an invasion.
Okay.
I guess an invasion requires a certain commitment from a state, right? It's a big difference between an invasion and an immigration wave is whether there's a state
Hold on.
operating.
Or a force. The cartels, man. The cartels operate like a state. The cartels are the reason that a lot of these people are able to make it up to the border. They pay money to the cartels. The cartels are using drones. They're using speedboats. They're using helicopters. The cartels act like a government. In fact, the cartels run the Mexican government. The Sinaloa drug cartel is more powerful than the Mexican Mexican government.
I would agree with labeling these terrorist organizations. I think they have the funding, they operate, they have such. But there's a key distinction between a government entity and a terrorist organization.
Hold on a second. We declared war on Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
What government was Al Qaeda?
We can declare war on terrorist organizations.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. So, if we signed the Alien Enemies Act against Al Qaeda, it would have been perfectly fair and appropriate, obviously. And Al Qaeda is not a government. What I'm saying, though, is that the cartels, the MS13 and Tren de Aragua, they are being supported by governments. They're harbored in governments. The Alien Enemies Act, of course, applies to them. These are enemies here on the mainland of America doing harm. And Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a member of MS13. He was a wife beater, a child abuser, here illegally. He had a deportation notice on his head. And now he's back in his country of El Salvador, and we should be happy that he's home.
So, I can grant you that he might be all these things. It does not mean that he doesn't get a day in court.
But as a non-U.S. citizen, though, the Alien Enemies Act allow us to expeditiously remove him. It's just the way it works. I mean,
no, you're right. But
and now that's not the case.
We can
the Supreme
argue
Court's
whether that was a correct invocation, right?
But
where
that's
our
irrelevant.
disagreement
The
is.
Supreme Court has now said no more, so there will be no more. But in that specific case, nothing was done illegally. The only argument you might have is that the judge says you could deport him anywhere except El Salvador. So we probably should have just deported him to, I don't know, the Congo, and everyone would have been happier. Hilariously, they said, oh, he's in a foreign jail. No, he's not in a foreign jail. He's an El Salvadorian in his own country. He's not an American. If he would have went to Gitmo, that would have been a foreign jail.
Okay. And then, let's see.
Thank
I
you.
think that's it for me. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Could I ask you for a red hat?
Yes,
signed?
absolutely. Thank you. Yep. Thanks. Great question.
Well, that's a very interesting one. But then one thing I've always pointed out, in a sense, about immigration is there is always a problem of integration once people find themselves, you understand, in another country. Reason is because these people are being raised with different culture, right? And then they have different, you understand, belief. Therefore, if they go to another country, they tend to have a different way, you understand, of life, and they want to practice whatever life, you understand, they have been living from their primary, you understand, country. And then that is why, you understand, that end up, you understand, with this MS, you understand, 13 member. Nevertheless, even though the student was trying to defend him and all those things, brings about, you understand, the laws, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and all that, even though when it comes to the First and the Second Amendment, of course, I tend not to agree on some certain things. And then and I think that that's the beauty of democracy. Of course, you tend to agree with some things and then therefore tend to disagree with other things, like liberty for people to own, you understand, firearms. I feel that, understand, this is wrong, and I feel that, of course, we already have, you understand, agencies that take care of some of these things. We have some of the security agencies taking care of some of those things. So they have been designated, you understand, for them to take care of the people. We could talk about the sheriff, the police, and then all those things, right? Well, therefore, the military still protect the country from any external aggressor. So trying to let the citizens, in a sense, owning, in a sense, some of these things, in a sense, is not right, which is my own opinion, nevertheless. So in trying to him defending, in a sense, the gang member, I just think that, in a sense, this is wrong because of why he came to the country. He was not, in a sense, a citizen of the United States, so why even become a gang leader in that aspect? You understand? It's also wrong. And then the reason being is what? Immigration. immigration has become, you understand, a big problem to a lot of countries. You understand, not just, you understand, America. Britain also face the same kind of thing today, and then that's why I see what there's a threat, you understand, to its what existence. Why? Because of this porous immigration policy. Thank God, you understand, Trump listened to me and then therefore cancelled some of these asylum, you understand, programs that I proposed. Some of those things, you understand, happens to be one of the major, you understand, problems. But nevertheless, well, I don't expect to take the credit anyway. But then if you look at, you understand, my previous videos, of course, you will see that I have proposed some of those things, you understand, a couple of years ago. But nevertheless, I want to see your thought and opinion at the comment section. Of course, the gang leader has already been deported to his country, El Salvador. Well, people feels that, of course, they could have not do so, but then this is somebody, you understand, who abuse people and then all those things. So what do you want the country to do? So I think that, you understand, deporting him back, you understand, was not, you understand, a wrong thing. In as much as, you understand, we may have freedom, you understand, to do things, does not mean that there's an absolute, you understand, freedom. I feel that, you understand, in freedom there should be at least, in a sense, some limitation. There are some certain things that we are not supposed to do. But nevertheless, well, in a democratic, in a sense, society, let me see your thought and opinion at the comment section. And may God bless you. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.